Hi guys, it is November the 13th, 2024. Yeah, very few are in house today. I understand. I understand. Aren't you getting tired? I'm getting tired. Yeah. Um, I see everything that's happening, on a daily basis. It is overwhelming. I bookmark, and I don't even really know how to. Uh, I can't hardly do it. It's there's a lot, but I will be going over some information that no doubt many of you know how they traumatize people and how we are traumatized. And it's every single day. Traumatization has become normalized. We live very strange lives. And this is not the way life was supposed to go. But the news, it's traumatizing. Just 24/7, and there's no escape from it. um, People are traumatizing. The events that are taking place is traumatizing. So, and you may be traumatized and not even know it, but you're easily triggered, or, there's a lot of um, indications of somebody who's traumatized. But we'll get to that in a moment. Right now, I just want to say hello, Analog Synth Player and Andrew Cruz and Rage Against the Machine and Tony Punch. Hey, Angelos and Ain't Buying It, and Patricia White. We got DeMarquis on in the chat, and Kurt Dog, Hypocrites Matrix, Oracle 11, Steve Ladner, Michael Wilson, Don Miguel. Hi. Mark Anthony, Bradicus. I just like the plain Brat. That's cool. Bradicus. That makes me feel like I'm living in a different era. So, Connie, hello. So we've got stuff. Yeah, we have stuff. Yeah, even just the weather is traumatizing. Hurricane Raphael coming up. It's going to be plowing into Florida again. Oh, no. Evaporated. No, wait. 2 days later, it's back. Where is it back? Haven't seen anything about it. Now we have Hurricane Sarah. Oh, if it doesn't take kind of a sharper turn and misses Florida, goes out to the Atlantic, well, then it comes right at you again. All of these people who have experienced these weather events, I've listened to news broadcasts, and they do mention that rain, just rain, is traumatizing for them. So this is what we're living. It's phenomenal to me that this is where we are, and this is what we get to live. There's nothing we can do about it. I don't like that. There's nothing we can do about it because a whole lot of people are not doing anything about it. We need them. But hey, what you gonna do when you're all alone? Here we go. I didn't see this on the forecast. The forecast model that I showed last night in last night's live. Well, here it is. Doesn't matter, forecast or not. Forecast changes are very frequent. Look at what's happening here in Washington. Does that look like your, natural weather front or precipitation that you see on radar? No, because all of these extremely low frequencies are blasting through this. You got the atmospheric river coming in, and well, the last I saw that Oregon, you might be getting a lot of rain, in like the next, I don't know, day or two. I hope it doesn't amount to devastation. And yeah, look at all of these frequencies here. You got them in Missouri, right here at the bottom of this. What? Now, I don't even want to call these things weather fronts anymore because they're so manufactured. This is taking on the kind of hurricane look to it once again. What is this very long, defined line of storms? Missouri into Illinois. Yeah. And the tail feature, the new tail feature of weather fronts, which is right down here in Mississippi. So, by the looks of this, we may have more weather alerts. Have a lot of thunderstorms in the oceans lately. So, let's take a look. Oh no, severe weather alerts. Wow. Okay. Well, that's good, but that doesn't mean anything, unfortunately. You know, I keep saying, yeah, bookmark these sites, but what you do have to understand is that things can change on a dime if they want them to. Oh, right. Who's they? The weather terrorists. Check it out. Do some research. All of you who still refuse to acknowledge that, yeah, weather is definitely being controlled. So let us look at the forecast model again, which starts at midnight, November 14. You got the severe weather here, just one little pocket of it, but you don't see any more severe weather that you are kind of seeing here in Indiana, Iowa. You've got some heavy rains in Illinois. It's looking pretty severe down here in Mississippi. Okay, so by midnight, a whole lot of that should have cleared out, except for what you have in Indiana and just the corner, the southeast corner of Illinois. So here we have more severe weather for, yeah, Mississippi and the northwest corner of Alabama. Also up here in, again, Indiana, right on the border of Kentucky. Yeah, that's at 6 a.m. and it begins to die off. But it looks like you're going to have a lot of rain right up in this section, you know, for Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Northwest, upstate, South Carolina, into Tennessee and Kentucky and Indiana, Ohio, right on into, it's hard for me to distinguish the lines, but right up north. What you're looking at right here, unfortunately, it doesn't mean you're going to be getting rain. That's the problem. We don't know. No security, nothing to rely on. That's the new world that we're in. So it doesn't look too bad for Oregon. what I'm seeing. I do see a lot of rain, but I did notice this article about the atmospheric river coming off the Pacific into Oregon. And whenever I see atmospheric river now, I go, okay, does that mean you're going to be getting an awful lot of flooding? You may not, by the looks of it. All right, so midnight, the 15th, which is Friday. You have some severe weather up here in right on the coast of North Carolina, heads out into the Atlantic. But I did not see this yesterday. And what is coming about? You have some pretty heavy snow up here in Washington and Canada for the 17th at 6 p.m. And again, for Oregon, right smack in the center of precipitation with rain, precipitation with snow in the middle at midnight on the 18th. And you get quite a bit of snow northwest Montana, two-thirds of Idaho. Here come the severe storms again, panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas on the 18th noontime. Oh, and yes, they enlarge it. You got it right through the middle of Oklahoma. Pretty much the middle of Kansas and the western portion of Oklahoma on the 18th at 6 p.m. And it continues. So this we saw yesterday on the forecast. Continues. Kansas, then Nebraska with the severe weather. You got it in Iowa now, and you've got it in Minnesota and just the south east of Minnesota, the southwest of Minnesota, southeast of South Dakota and Kansas. And it looks like a big blob of rain. Well, we don't know. So you have South Dakota by noontime on the 19th. You got quite a bit of snow mixed in with this precipitation, but the severe weather moves right on into Minnesota. And I hope that is okay for you. Then pretty heavy snow. You got it North Dakota and South Dakota and Minnesota, 6 p.m. on the 19th. Severe weather starts in the Gulf on the 19th, 6 p.m. But look at that, midnight, November 20, a large, huge thunderstorm for the Gulf, midnight on the 20th, moves along in the Gulf, 6 a.m. on the 20th, and then, boom, hits Florida. This is not the hurricane. We didn't see any of this on the forecast model yesterday. You got quite a lot of snow up here. Minnesota, pretty much Minnesota, and also Iowa. But watch out, you guys in North Florida, the 20th at noontime. Pretty severe weather coming your way. And you know what that means, right? Well, just tornadic activity. It could be hurricane winds, straight line winds, flash flooding, coastal flooding, large hail, the 20th, noontime. bringing it right on in. I think that's a little bit too north for Tampa and Sarasota, but I might be wrong. You guys who live in this area of Florida, pay close attention to what's happening with your weather, because you know they just want to destroy an awful lot of people. And boy, are they doing it all over the world, all over the world. Noontime, November 20th. And then stretches right on through to right outside of the coast of Florida. But this has the entire northern section of Florida, Jacksonville area, severe weather, 6 p.m., November 20th. And then you're free. Whole lot of snow on the 21st, midnight. You got it in Minnesota, the entire state of Iowa, and a good portion of Missouri. Whole lot of snow into Wisconsin. When people are literally, just on the edge of their seats due to weather alone, you know that there's an awful lot of people who are experiencing PTSD symptoms from what now? What else is coming? Hurricanes in this time of year? It's very strange, right? All right. Well, isn't this a little strange? British television, a weather forecast featuring images of chemtrails. Weatherman said, lovely sunset. Lovely sunset. Is he deranged? Should he be on mainstream media? Absolutely not. Should he be screaming about what the hell is going on in the sky? And I know what's going on in the sky because I've done some research, as I'm supposed to do as your mainstream media meteorologist, and I'm supposed to be telling you the truth. We are being bombarded with very, very toxic nanoparticulates from the geoengineering. But no, he says, lovely sunset. He's a nutter. Sick, deranged people we have. And a whole lot. I would say mainstream media, I'm going to think that maybe 1% actually tells the truth. 99, they're all handed a script. They read it. They're readers. They're not reporters. They're propagandists for the government and the very psychopathic, evil, yes, satanic elite. And when you know that this is going on, isn't it really, doesn't life get very surreal for you? Like, how could this be happening? Okay, into thin air. Link is in the channel. Hurricane Sarah. Yeah, it's very strange what is taking place. Everybody should be questioning it. But what you gonna do if they don't want to question?
Definitely knew that this was a strong possibility. We saw that dip coming from the jet stream. All right. right, everyone, it is 11/13/24. We have some major changes with potential Hurricane Sarah. Now, in my video from late last night, I told you that something might take place that may change the entire course of this storm, and between that video and now, that's exactly what took place. What you just saw are the current models, but I want you to see what was being shown last night, and what I said here is exactly what took place. All right, now take a listen to this. Now, what we need to pay attention to is that sudden right hook that takes Sarah into western Florida. Now, what we want is for that dip in the jet stream to happen a little sooner. This way, it would wipe out Sarah before it made it to Florida and would likely slam into Cuba once again, which would be its third or fourth hurricane landfall this year, as well as multiple blackouts and multiple large earthquakes, all in a very small period of time. This is nothing to mess with. If these dates are correct, we are 1 week away from landfall, somewhere between Cape Coral and possibly Tampa. That may change a lot. Like I said, we're hoping for this dip to come a lot sooner, and we may not have to worry about the storm at all hitting the U.S. All right, and you heard it right there. We definitely knew that this was a strong possibility. We saw that dip coming from the jet stream, and I also knew that that would be the determining factor whether or not this storm would be in effect to Florida. That's why I was very clear in yesterday's video that even with just a week in between the potential landfall, that is plenty of time for this to change multiple times. We may see an entire different forecast tomorrow because this time of year, it is nearly impossible for these storms to be forming like this. So something strange is going on. I can't quite put my finger on it yet. I have my theories, of course, because this is just not normal to see all these storms and possibly another after this forming in the Caribbean. Now, once again, as I said in the other video, this thing is still going to be a near Category 5 storm according to the data now in the Caribbean. And I explained that the momentum would be another determining factor if it did not make contact with Cancun or the western edge of Cuba. It is now showing that it is definitely going to be doing that. So as you can see, that is definitely affecting this storm before it would get to Florida. And now it's looking like it may pass just south of Florida, but I can't stress this enough. Within a single day, even less, we could have an entire different forecast. This is a lot different than forecasting our hurricanes in the middle of peak hurricane season. There is a lot more going on as far as atmospheric conditions and things being just basically haywire, and that is why it is so hard to forecast these things. When it comes...
Okay, so again, the link is in the chat. If you don't, oh, I didn't hit enter. Sorry. If you don't know Into Thin Air, or if you have not subscribed, I highly recommend doing so. Yeah, things are very strange. So the YouTube meteorologists who never, ever mention geoengineering or weather modification are also saying, well, this is a strange turn. This developed out of nowhere. This is, yeah, and they never, ever mention weather modification. Those are the people who are complicit with all of the destruction that is taking place. Second atmospheric river takes aim at Pacific Northwest this week.
And looking out at Oregon and parts of the Northwest and California, they're bracing for their second atmospheric river system that's coming into the area. Visibilities have already dropped to very low at a lot of these higher elevations. That makes it a little nerve-wracking for non-snow experienced drivers such as myself. So if you're making a trip to the area and you're a tourist, be very careful. Check in on the Department of Transportation if they require snow tires, snow chains. That's something that we are getting in more abundance. I mean, the roads have been treacherous for New Mexico and farther north into Colorado from the previous winter storm, and now that's all extending into the Pacific Northwest. You see video of what California looked like just yesterday. Crews have been working around the clock to clean up these roads, but still, they're slick. So we've had spinouts that have occurred. We just briefly hit on the radar.
Do you see the extremely low frequency on Fox Weather? And she won't mention it. Right down, look right on the side here. Oh my God, it is just maddening.
Are here.
Look at this. She won't say a word about it. Oh, this is perfectly normal. These pie cutouts. Hey,
Mostly rain at this point in time, but temperatures are going to continue to drop and snow becomes more of an issue, especially for the cats are going to continue to drop.
Coming right out of Doppler radar, I guess a Portland area, and very clear, very obvious. All of these straight lines. No, Mother Nature does not have a ruler and is literally carving out her precipitation. All we have is liars. I can't believe it.
And snow becomes more of an issue, especially for the Cascades and even the Northern Rockies. Anywhere where you have this peach color, that's 24 to 36 inches. Snow levels here are about 4,000 feet and above. So that does include some mountain towns, great for skiing and snowboarding, but can also create some concerns, again, for traveling to those locations. The exclusive Fox model showing how much this rain and snow really doesn't budge until Thursday, especially for Northern California and Southern Oregon. The rain just continues to pound through the region as that atmospheric river floods the area. Wednesday, 8 in the evening, Thursday morning, not much has changed. The heaviest of the rain totals will be near the coastal mountains, right up against the Pacific along Interstate 5. And then as you travel farther inland, that's when snow becomes the big story for the Northern Rockies, Missoula, Pocatello, into Idaho as well. Friday, we're still not done. The rain is still going to be in the area. Rain still to come through Thursday. Here's the big story. We do have some concerns, maybe some localized flooding. No widespread flood threat here, especially for areas like Seattle, out towards Burns. I mean, that's around half an inch, maybe an inch on the higher end. But right up against the Pacific Ocean, we've got 3 to 5 inches, maybe a couple areas that could top at 5 to 8. So,
all right, so you're going to get quite a lot of rain. The coast of Washington and Oregon. Boy, man. She probably thinks she's really cool. You know, oh, I got a job on Fox and I tell the weather and I'm what is she, a meteorologist? Really? Can't be. Really? Okay. So, oh, well, these professional schools certainly have changed. So, no doubt they just tell their students to ignore all of what you see that you might think is weird on radar. Just keep, reading the report that you will get from somebody else. What a disservice. What a disservice to all of her viewers. Wildfires threaten Ecuador's drought-stricken capital. All right. I have a subscriber in Ecuador. She sent me a picture of a fire on a mountain. That is, well, she can see it from her home. Plus the fact that Ecuador, she's living through like 12 hours with no power because, well, Ecuador gets their energy from, hydro energy. And when there's drought and little rain, they have these long periods of no power. This has been going on, if I'm not mistaken, for months. Now she's in no power for 12 hours a day. And some days those hours are split up. I've been hearing this for quite a long time. She sends me a picture of fires. I didn't see any recent, I couldn't find anything recent on the fires in Ecuador. This is 9 days ago. Did I even bring this up 9 days ago? I can't remember because so much is going on. But 9 days ago, wildfires threatened Ecuador's drought-stricken capital. Quito. That's very close. Bolivia. This is Bolivia. Okay. Colombia. Okay, so I asked my subscriber to update me on what is taking place in Ecuador. See, yeah, you are desperate to get out of the country to avoid everything that's happening here. You go and it's paradise for a little while, and then you are smitten with a lot of problems. Yeah. Orange County declares state of emergency due to Jennings Creek wildfire. They just can't seem to put out those fires in New York, New Jersey.
Well, Dick, Orange County, New York is beyond the checkpoint behind me where only residents are being allowed in. We are now learning that the Greenwood Lake Union School District will be closed on Thursday and Friday. Such an emotional day for residents. About 100 homes sit about a quarter mile away from where the fire is burning.
Fire officials say the slow winds are helping firefighters who are fighting the wildfire in steep and dangerous conditions, trying to prevent the flames from spreading to 100 homes in Orange County, New York.
It's not just the firefighters, it's everyone, the police, they are just absolutely fabulous.
This Greenwood Lake resident is voluntarily evacuating because she'll have no power as firefighters fight fire with burnouts near her home. She's confident they'll succeed, but leaving is difficult.
I never had to feel that I could leave my house and it might not be there when I get back.
When everything initially started, I think it was more alarming for me because the flames seemed like they were encroaching on the community.
Residents say they're grateful for the massive operation, which includes firefighters pulling water from the lake to fight the fire on the ground and choppers attacking the flames from the air.
We were wetting everything down on Sunday. We were keeping the roof wet and the backyard and everything.
There are lots of residents who have opened their homes on the opposite side of the lake. There are shelters that have opened up. Everyone is really opening their arms, their hearts, and really trying to help all of the volunteers as well.
Mandatory evacuations have not been called, but New York officials say if that happens, it'll take 3 hours to get residents out.
If it gets to the point where we have to pull the trigger and evacuate, we want to try and get those people out of their homes first. Because once we put the fire apparatus in, it's going to create traffic issues.
Everybody's on the, edge of their seats, due to flooding, due to fires. And it's nerve-wracking, to say the least. Philippines. The Philippines get flooded a lot.
Cagayan, Philippines, November 12, 2024. The Cagayan River continued to rise on Tuesday, submerging more villages under floodwaters from several tropical storm Nika, international name Toraji. As of 11 a.m., the water level at the Tuguegarao City Gauge Station at Puntun Bridge had reached 10.6 meters. Its critical water level is 11 meters. Ilating Kue said in a Facebook post, reiterating his calls for villagers in flood-prone areas to evacuate immediately.
Can you imagine when you just think back, just this year, between the fires and the flooding and the tornadoes, and I'm talking about all over the world. Every continent has been hit hard. Africa, Europe, Asia, okay. But when you think about all of the people who have lost everything, lost their homes, we're talking millions of people. When you really think about the numbers, it is staggering, for sure, rather sobering. And when you think about the world's economy, and you think about how do these people recover? Where have all of these people gone? Grenada?
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
The alternator.
Heavy downpours have resulted in severe flooding in Grenada. Flooding has been reported in several areas, including River Road, Westerhall, Woodlands, and in the vicinity of the National Stadium. Videos online showed vehicles being washed away by strong floodwaters along River Road, while students were seen climbing on top chairs at the flooded T.A. Mary Show Community College. The Ministry of Education, in a statement a short while ago, advised principals, parents, and guardians that the deteriorating conditions caused by flash flooding must be taken seriously. It said school leaders have been advised to instruct students not to proceed into the flood-prone areas. The ministry stated parents should go to the schools to collect their children or send a guardian to collect them on their behalf. It said, "Let us do all within our power to ensure our teachers and students are safe and protected from the floodwaters." Ministry of Infrastructure is urging extreme caution, however, since the road is unpaved. The inclement weather. Grenlec said its team is working to restore service to all affected customers.
I'm telling you, the massive destruction that has taken place just in 2024, the scale of this destruction, I've never seen before. Never in my life. Italy gets hit again. Again. Another area of Italy. Climate change. COP29. All of the bullshit spewed. And again, if it was climate change, all of this would come about very slowly, incrementally. You wouldn't see, like so many countries, having cars just floating around the streets and this kind of destruction. Plus the fact that there are less people in the world, not more, less people in the world than ever. The population, world's population, is going down, not up. The economy is tanking. Manufacturing in our country, the United States, has pretty much come to a complete halt. So, okay. Italy. So this is Sicily. And Sicily got hit not too long ago. So this is, yeah, let's bring it about again. And do you really think that this amount of water is just coming from up above? Really? From the rain? No. They are, well, they're able to move the waters around, the bodies of water, the, rivers and lakes, but the water below, then shutting off the drainage systems or reversing them. But come on. We see so much that begs questions, and we're the people that are able to notice that, okay, this can't be climate change. Well, those are the people who can actually still, they still have brain cell to activate their independent thinking. Wow. I don't like evil winning. So that's where a lot of my frustration comes from.
Mamma mia, Dio mio veramente. Questa c'è una catastrofe, praticamente la timba è partito un pezzo di timba.
The wave of bad weather hit Syracuse and the province in particular, where teams of volunteers and technicians continued to work even after the rain had stopped to inspect the damage.
All right. The link is in the chat if you want to see more. When you have the technology to actually create these kinds of conditions, I guess it's really easy to just claim it's whatever you want it to be and get people to believe it. There's less people believing in the climate change, bullshit. Good. That's good. But all people need to do is just do a little bit of research. Find out that there's actually more scientists, reputable, well-renowned throughout the world, far more, who dispute this climate change narrative. Far more. There's not a consensus. Yeah. Okay. And those having to live the consequences day in, day out, for a very long period of time.
If you can imagine, these are the steps to where my house was. This is the foundation of my house. The force of the water somehow took my house 100 yards that way.
I kept an office right here. When the water came in, it actually started coming in the middle of the house through the vents. We literally watched it go up each step, and we got out onto the roof.
I've been around different spots all over the world. I always brought a tear to my eye nearly when I come up the valley and look back through here and see all these mountains where I grew up at.
Because we had no flood insurance on the house, because we are not in the flood zone, they won't sell you flood insurance.
We've definitely lost our sense of stability. So we've frantically been trying to figure out what are we going to do.
I'm Deborah Massey. We came here 2 weeks ago. What I saw when I was here was that winter is coming and people had no shelter. I knew I couldn't just go to bed, go on my merry old way, and not do something.
Thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Thank you all so much.
There's a TV, a heater. Maybe we can put up a Christmas tree.
Oh, you should get like a small Christmas tree.
A tiny little one.
Wow, this is so nice. It's beautiful.
Happy
Nice to sleep in the bed again.
Yes, it will.
I slept on an air mattress for a month. Yeah, you could cook me dinner.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Without this trailer, I don't know what we'd do. I mean, really, our home is not livable.
The community outside of Western North Carolina has come together. My pals in Nashville bringing me a camper and just giving me a home to live in. That's been absolutely wonderful. It was great to see my kindergarten teacher also get a camper. The smile on her face was priceless.
There's others who are going to get a chance to see this video. What would you like to say to those people about what this means to you guys and what this could mean to maybe even other families out there that are still displaced right now?
It really, really means a lot, and I hope that everybody gets a home. It's so hard without a home.
I don't know. I've been changing, but whenever I see these videos where people are helping other people, man, tears well up in my eyes, and I'm like, woof, it's not you. What the hell happened? But I love it. A whole lot more need trailers, need some kind of shelter. I mean, it's cold, and there are a whole lot still living just in tents. So these look like brand new RVs, but you know, people can donate their RV that they're not even using, or donate one that, oh, it's a sacrifice. Yeah, well, we've got a sacrifice. If you have one just sitting in the back, sitting in your driveway, yeah. And I just heard today that there are a number of people right from this area. They just, I don't know who they are, neither does the subscriber, because she heard it from somebody else. They loaded up a truck of supplies heading out to North Carolina. So, on the number of dead, I think a whole lot of people, love it when they hear someone say in one particular area that they haven't smelled decomposed bodies or haven't come across any bodies. And then they want to then just broaden it out to the entire area. Oh, so few people died. No, don't go there. There are so many people who are in different areas talking about how many dead they're coming across.
And they've got guys that are trying to come out and help search on off time. You know, they're stood down as far as that. They need to get back to doing law enforcement and respond to fires. You know, they only have so many personnel. They've been working their asses off for 4 weeks nonstop. They want to help us. The problem is we need like FEMA dogs. We need folks to come from out of state. Right now we've been paying travel expenses for canine teams just out of pocket, trying to save the families from spending their money. They've spent too much already, whether it's the family of Kim Ashby or Lenny or Lena. They've been spending money out of pocket to get canine teams together, and we don't want that.
So FEMA has those assets and they've not deployed any of them?
They, not since they stood down. They deployed them in the first 2 weeks when we were down in Swananoa doing recovery down there, and after they stood down, they pulled all that out. There's no EMAC requests going out from the counties, which is how you pull more cadaver dogs.
If you notice today, I did not come alone because last time when we called for assistance and we were told that we needed to contact authorities if we found a bone, essentially, how many people we got shamed? We got kind of first blown off. But when we had a kind of station like this, the different counties were actually fighting amongst themselves or arguing who it wasn't their jurisdiction. So at this point, from what I gathered and from what after we talked to them, they are completely tired and they're claiming that the people are tired and just want to move forward and clean up. But some of the locals that I've talked to in these parts, they're asking for people to come in and try to help find out about their loved ones, because a lot of them saw them drift away in the river and they feel like nothing is being done. Just found this, so it still has residue. Now it's porous, so I don't know, I can't age it. We just found that right here. Some of them got pulverized, some of them got washed up, but the ones that were pulverized are just kind of pushed through the grinder because there's so many rocks and the velocity of the current. I mean, you're not going to see any muscle tissue because it's been torn off. So that just tells me that there's so much in the dirt that's just being washed away, pushed aside, and prettied up. But it's still there, just like all these humans, all these animals. Possible, as the sheriffs admitted, it's some cemetery bones that washed down. And I really don't know whose bones they are. Some of the dogs, they brought so many dogs out here. They've done a lot of hits. I actually have one of the pictures from the other groups, and they're saying that a lot of the animals are hitting a lot of spots, which I don't doubt. There's going to be a lot of pieces. If this, if a person was pushed through all of this, and it's 25, however high it was in this location, the bodies are going to be split apart. So you have a piece there, a piece there. So what they're trying to do is invalidate some of where the dogs were hitting. They hit too many spots. We need scientists. We need data analysts. We need anthropologists. We need archaeologists. We need skilled forensics analysts. We need teams out here that skills not just come dig and remove and burn, which is what we're being told is going to happen. So when I tell you we're trying to rush and hit little spots, pockets, to possibly find something, that's all we're trying to do.
So the female wants to come in, and just, raise the entire area. And a whole lot of people are still, their loved ones Where are they? Missing? Here's another one, different area.
We had search and recovery and cadaver dogs. We were working a riverbed out here in a very isolated area, and they had 7 confirmed FEMA pings on cadavers in that riverbed that they requested us to go in and start clearing ways for excavators and stuff in there. We located a debris pile with a bathroom in it where we believed there was people inside there. We worked for 8 hours with 30 people, and you could barely tell we made a dent in it. We called in the coordinates for it and alerted that there was a cadaver in the area and they needed to come out and check it out. The next day I came back and FEMA, who was supposed to be there, was about 2,000 yards away from where they were supposed to be, standing in a sand pile. I mean, there was nothing around. And I told them, hey, you're in the wrong spot. I know where you need to be. They wouldn't move, which I understand, they're under orders. The next day I came by and that entire debris pile was on fire. I don't know. I don't know the coincidences that line up to that, but it's very interesting that I firsthand know how hard we had to work with 30 people to get a little bit done.
Yeah.
And the extent or the magnitude of how much work was going to have to go in to recover 7 people in that debris pile.
Yeah.
And to get the equipment in there. We have vehicles getting stuck. We're having to tow vehicles out. So I don't know if the cost wasn't worth the reward or if a family decided they wanted to burn their brush
You don't
pile.
know, yeah.
But the coincidence was very odd.
On that spot.
Yep.
Yeah, that exact
That
spot.
big debris pile on fire. Yeah. That's not going to naturally occur.
Yeah, and they
Someone
certainly didn't pull 7 bodies out in that amount of time because we spent an entire day with a ton of people and didn't get anywhere.
That's interesting. Who knows, man?
The link is in the chat. Interesting information they impart. And yeah, I don't know how many of you caught on my Never Lose Truth channel the unbelievable similarities between what is happening in Valencia, Spain. I mean, it's like Western North Carolina. It's all pretty much the same. Why, if I just put in Never Lose Truth, it doesn't come up? But Never Lose Truth 5 comes up and 4 comes up, and come on. Here. Thank you. Yeah. So this man who was in Valencia, he talks about what was going on. Where's the military? Where's the government? Where's day after day after day? No one shows up, right? Very similar to Western North Carolina. So if you've not seen this, and I post or included in my live or posted on Never Lose Truth that there was that the locals were very angry when the king and queen showed up. And apparently they were throwing the mud and kicking the cars of the leaders, the government officials. They don't, because the king is just symbolic and doesn't have any power to do anything. He actually said that it was the king that expressed some empathy for people. But yeah, listening to him could have been Western North Carolina. But wow, did they have a huge army show up of volunteers. Just absolutely huge. I mean, it was thousands. You see them walking the streets just to get into Valencia and and the surrounding area to help. So all of the work is being done by the locals, and those in Spain who came down to help, as opposed to the government or the military. So same script, mainstream media not reporting on the number of deaths. They keep it very, very low. So isn't it interesting how country after country is in lockstep doing the same thing? Yeah. A whole lot of people here, Ventura County avocado rancher destroyed. The ranch is destroyed in the mountain fire. People work their entire lives and can get destroyed in a day, in a moment, in a minute, and then have no help trying to recover.
As firefighters are gaining new access to burned areas of the mountain fire, we are now getting a clearer picture of the overall loss. Officials say more than 200 homes and buildings completely destroyed, 90 more damaged. 6 people hurt in the fire, and that includes both fire personnel and residents. The acreage charred remains unchanged today and stands at more than 20,000 acres. But the promising development, containment, is now up to 48%.
And Robert, besides homes, one of the other heartbreaking tolls this fire has taken has been on our local crops. Thousands of acres of Ventura County farmland is now blackened. And as our Carmen Dickerson reports, it couldn't come at a worse time. It's a story all new right here at 4.
In the mountain fire, so many people lost homes. But in the case of one man here in Somis, what he lost was a dream, a retirement plan, a paradise he built himself from the ground up, something he hoped to be able to pass along to his grandkids.
Parte de mi vida, parte de mí.
Part of my life, part of myself. That's what this now charred avocado orchard means to Sergio Acevedo.
This is the paradise for me.
24 years ago, he planted the first of these trees himself. For the last 4 days, he's been pulling up their roots and chopping them down after the mountain fire left them charred. What the flames spared, the winds destroyed, knocking fruit from the trees about 6 weeks before the harvest.
I put it all my efforts in here, all my savings, principal, my savings for my life. I work in so many hours to save my money, to lose it in one minute.
Oh God, it's heartbreaking. It really is. It's just dying breed here. Mobile home owners navigating the new rule, the new FEMA rule, the 50-50 rule. That is just another obstacle for people to jump over, and another government rule that ends up destroying an awful lot of people.
Hurricanes Helene and Milton may be long gone, but many in our coastal communities are still navigating now only how they want to rebuild, but also how they're allowed to rebuild. News Channel 8's Nicole Rogers joins us now live in Cortez, where residents are navigating that so-called 50-50 rule. Nicole.
Josh, so that rule is for anyone who lives in a flood zone. Here in the Tampa Bay area, we have thousands of people living in those zones. So the thing is, with this rule, it basically says that if your repairs are too costly, you might have to add to your fix-it list raising your home.
Very frustrating.
Renee Ratajczyk is one of many mobile homeowners in Bradenton Beach waiting for an appraisal, which will tell her how she can move forward.
It's been kind of up and down because, at one point in time, everybody thought that the park would be condemned. And
now she's waiting to find out if the hurricanes left enough damage to her home to cost 50% of what it's worth. If it is, her road to recovery would become an uphill battle. Down the street, Lenny Robinson has lived in his home in Paradise Bay Estates for 18 years.
This is a dying breed here. They want condos, they want high rises, they want to generate more tax revenue.
And he's exactly right. Yeah. This does not need to happen, but it's happening. And get rid of all of the people who are not living in mansions or whatever, in condos, although they're getting rid of condo people all over Florida because of new legislation. All these condos need to be investigated. Who pays for the investigation? The condo owners. Then who pays for all of the repairs that are needed in these condos? The condo owners, and a whole lot are having to leave, trying to sell their condo, but a whole lot of people don't want to buy condos in Florida because of this new rule, right? So the 50-50, if their repairs are more than the assessed value of the home, what happens? Well, then they have to tear it down and literally just raise the home, put it on slats. Do you know how much that costs? Shit, man. Well, I guess we allowed, government to just take over and rule us. I don't believe it is a hoax. It's real. It's definitely happening. The UK Energy Secretary on Trump and the climate scam hoax. Wow. Yeah. And he mentions all of these weather events.
A hoax.
No,
It's,
but what do you say?
Well, it's real. Just look at events in Spain. Look at the fact that we had 40-degree day in Britain 2 years ago. It's definitely, look at what's happening in the US. It's definitely happening. But you know, the interesting thing, Alex, is it's definitely happening, and this transition is happening, and it's unstoppable. Look around this.
No, we know about the transition, but is that the message you will, as a government, have to say to the incoming president?
No, the message for us is we're going to do what's in our national self-interest. It's a hoax.
Green energy. Wouldn't it be wonderful if people just woke up, did a little bit of research, found out that yes, man was controlling the weather, and then they ran after all of these people, running them out of their offices, running them, out of their neighborhoods. Get away from us, you lying critters. We don't need you. You're dangerous. Wouldn't it be fabulous? And yeah, the accidents on the interstates is really pretty amazing. This is just an example. 4 dead, 17 injured, semi crashes into several vehicles along I-96 in Michigan.
7 News Detroit this morning starts right now with a breaking news alert.
We're continuing to follow that breaking news this morning from the Lansing area. 4 people are dead after a semi-tractor trailer crashed into backup traffic overnight in the village of Weberville, also starting that huge fire. Michigan State Police say the crash happened just before midnight on I-96, and that's where we find 7 News Detroit reporter Faraz Javed. Faraz, we know that this crash also critically injured more than a dozen other people. What else have you learned?
Good morning, Kiara. We are waking up to some really tragic news this morning. 4 people are dead, 17 are injured. This happened just before midnight when a semi-trailer truck ran into backed up traffic on I-96 westbound at the M52 intersection. What you're seeing right now is the aftermath. We just got here just before 8, and what we saw is nothing but lines of mangled vehicles. John, if you could just turn around and let's show Kiara some of the wreckage that we're seeing right now that have already been on the tow truck. Now, what we're learning from MSP is 14 vehicles at least were impacted when a semi-trailer truck ran into backed up traffic. right here at I-96 westbound at the M52 intersection. The minute the crash happened, the fiery explosion that took place. As a matter of fact, from a video taken earlier this morning, you can actually even see the fire. And what we're learning is that the semi-trailer truck was on the left lane, and MSP is still investigating as to what led to this moment that led to this crash. But what we can tell you is just before the crash, Michigan State Police were controlling traffic for Consumers Energy as Consumer Energy workers were pulling power lines across the expressway. And they had just wrapped up with that work, and they had opened up the expressway, and moments later is when MSP had to rush and assist this crash that happened earlier.
All right, so backed up traffic, and a semi just plows into everybody, plows into with such speed. The fiery crash, 4 dead, 17 injured. Yeah. I mean, so much is going on that you have to. Was this truck driver on his phone? Got that shot? You know? So, the other traumatizing agenda, layoffs. And I'm not doing, anything but just show you the number. And I don't doubt that there's an awful lot of Americans who are still employed. They're scared. They're scared of losing their jobs because they know that an awful lot are being laid off. Look at these numbers. Pitney Bowes, 2,300 positions cut in the third quarter. Further job cuts coming up. To the KUKA Toledo Production, 150. Sounds like a radio station or news. Bay State Health, 134. Great Dane, 155. Boeing, 17,000. AMD, 1,000. Venetian Resort, 50 plus. CW, 24. Online Education Company, 319. Direct Line, 550. NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, 325. 60 layoffs from Embark Behavioral Health, and 640. The newsroom at 6 at KFI AM. Maybe this is not 640. Maybe that's part of the name, 640. 22, 23andMe, 200. No, 22 from the newsroom. Got it. 23andMe, 200 plus. Piedmont Lithium, 48% will be cut. 91 from Jack Links, a aircraft carrier, Italy, 2,059. Christian Brothers University, 20. Lotus, up to 200. 500 from Enphase Energy. Stellantis, more the auto industry is laying off. Wow, record numbers. Stellantis, 400. Monarch Tractor, 35. CAA, 20. Mobis North America, 200. Zinnia, 25. Albemarle Corp, nearly 500. Open Door, 300. We're still in November. And this is not an exclusive list. Nissan Motors, 9,000. Freshworks, 660. Viracta Therapeutics, 8. 500. Durham Semiconductor Producer, Wolfspeed, 500. Toledo Assembly Complex, Ohio, 1,100. Outreach, 65. iRobot, 105. Do you think any of these people are going to find comparable positions somewhere else? They're not. 30 from an EV maker, Canoe. 311, Amy's Kitchen. Toyota Financial Services, 54. University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, 100. DAS Companies, 100. 330 from KPMG. Navistus Semiconductor, 45. Play Studios, 200. iHeart Media, 500. Automotive supplier Schaeffler, 4,700. 90 from Plascolite. You got 105 from Addiction Recovery Care, Kentucky. Franklin-based American Health Partners, 99. Bosch, Germany, 7,000. Our economy is traumatizing. Okay, so boy, those are big numbers. It's not an exclusive list. This has ramifications for all of us. So just because one person gets laid off and you think you're not affected, the ripple effect is going to be massive as more and more are getting laid off. And we know they love to dish out the pink slips right before Christmas, right? All right. I'm going to play this video and it'll take us to about 7. Then I'm going to play quite a bit of Inspired's video, which I'm going to link to, and I'll link to this, even if you know, and I'm sure a lot of you know, about the technology that is absolutely being used to control us. It's good to get periodic reminders. And those of us who have lived very strange and we can't quite figure out what the hell has gone on, there's an awful lot of targeted individuals that know they're targeted because they're targeted, you know, with frequencies, and they experience the physicalness of those frequencies. There are so many different programs out there. Some are psychologically targeted, and they're targeted in a way that they've got all of the documents, they've got your profile, they know what triggers you, they know what hurts you bad. And I so wish I could find that video of this woman in the UK talking about, oh God, what's the, it's UK's, the big intel agency. 4 letters. Let's play whatever that game is. I'm really struggling with my memory. So, but she was talking about how there is one particular program, and a program in the UK, yeah, they use it here too, but they break you down psychologically by having control of people that respond to you in a manner that is not very nice, breaking down your confidence and a whole lot in your life. Charades. Wow. All right, so let's listen to this.
We are on a path to creating a world where man can...
Let me get me off. This is happening. It is absolutely 100% happening. And, you know, thank God a lot of people have done the research, right? But if you do the research yourself, that's when it kind of gets cemented in you and you're like, okay. And you begin to understand how it is with electromagnetic frequencies. They can control a whole lot of people. They can target one person or target a region of people, community of people. I do have on my Never Lose Truth channel a playlist. I think I have targeted individuals. I've got Wi-Fi, microwaves. I don't know what the playlist is titled, but a lot of videos trying to educate people on how dangerous it is. Yeah, weapons. And we all consented. Thank you. Now I get to hold my weapon in my hand. And you know what that weapon is. All right.
control machine through thoughts alone. But if we could control machine, can machine also control us? Could we all become robo-humans?
Initiating satellite scan. Do you want to know a secret?
Automated computer, supercomputer software programming will manipulate the emotions and the behavior and the thoughts of everybody in the United States of America. And it can all be done remotely.
Scientists can now connect your brain to a computer, and it can all be done wirelessly. Is this a world we want? Because it's coming true.
Do you want to know a secret?
The New World Order, this entire, control grid that's supposed to be rolled out against the American people someday, I'm here to tell you that it's already here.
The victim is remotely tied to this supercomputer, which uses physical and psychological trauma, torture to map out and reverse engineer the sensory and neural pathways of the victim's brain and central nervous system. It's brutal, brutal torture, brutal torture. Unlike anything you can imagine, you can't negotiate with a computer. You can't compromise with a computer. You can't surrender to a computer. The computer will continue to do what it's programmed to do.
The multiple systems can focus on isolating an individual, group, community, or large population by algorithm. The directed energy weapon attack system also employs phased array cellular tower antennas as biosensors, transmitters, and receivers, capable of operation from computerized portable systems as close as neighboring locations. Satellites link the sender and the receiver. A computer multiplexer routes the voice signal of the sender through microwave towers to a very specific defined location, or cell. The receiver is located and tracked with pinpoint accuracy by their biometrics, DNA, iris, gait, facial recognition, and brainwave patterns. However, the receiver is not a cellular phone. It is the human brain. citizens can be selected at random for horrible targeting. Using covert psychotronic, advanced electromagnetic technology beamed from state-of-the-art operations centers globally.
Perhaps you know someone who led a normal, successful, happy life. You then watched, suddenly, the slow, surreal destruction of their life almost overnight, and it was completely unexplainable. The technology used is unseen to the human eye or detectable.
50 years ago, I, with many Americans, sat glued to our television sets as the church committee hearings played out on national television in 1973. Apparently, testing continued and did not stop, but went underground and continued to flourish.
It is a highly illegal program. It is being abused by people who have no regard for the welfare of those people who are being experimented upon. They're evil in a way that I cannot understand, and I do not want to understand. It was my differences of opinion with them, once I became aware of the full extent of this program, that caused me to object, to confront them about it, to eventually quit my job over it. And as a result, I became a target of this program myself.
Those who seriously challenge the corrupt system by exposure face the mental illness tag, coercive non-stop covert psychophysical energy weapon torture to silence them and shorten their lifespan.
They beam into my head now on a daily basis. You're the lab rat now, motherfucker. Don't you ever fucking cross us. And don't you dare think about speaking out about this, or we'll fucking kill you. If you are a targeted individual out there, I know how difficult your life is, because I'm one too. And I want to personally apologize for the role that I played in this program as an employee of SIS, Security Industry Specialists in Seattle, Washington. What I did and what my company is still doing is unacceptable, it is illegal, and it must be stopped immediately. If you are undergoing torture every single day and every single night, if you are miserable because of what these people are doing to you with voice-to-skull technology, emotion manipulation technology, I want you to know that you're not alone. There are millions of Americans across this country that are crying out for help from their neighbors, from their family, from their friends, from their co-workers, and they are met with a wall of silence and confusion, as the general public is simply not educated enough on this topic to be able to offer any real help. Also, the people who are running this program are the most powerful people in this country, and therefore anyone like myself who tries to take action against them is in for the fight of their life. This research and development program involves defense contractors, private corporations, the military and intelligence agencies of our country, private security contractors, and this entire program is, of course, overseen and run by the federal government of the United States of America.
The United States and the NATO alliance has for all practical purposes become what appears to be a military intelligence global police state. This reality is well hidden behind a facade of representative government and media gag orders. Victim after victim after victim, men, women, and children from all walks of life. No one is exempt. In what many deem the crime of the century, denying constitutional, civil, and even basic human rights. Confirmed by victims reporting identical experiences worldwide.
The overall effect of this technology is one that can control the mood, the attitudes, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, and thus the motivations and then the actions of the target. All day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It is a highly sophisticated technology. It is one that produces literal and total and complete mind control over the targeted individual. There are millions of Americans across this country that are crying out for help from their neighbors, from their family, from their friends, from their co-workers, and they are met with a wall of silence and confusion, as the general public is simply not educated enough on this topic to be able to offer any real help.
This whole conspiracy to enslave humanity is a psychological game.
You're not going to sell a tyranny by telling people it's a tyranny.
Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. Our way of life is under attack.
A global truth movement, unsurpassed, has evolved. Victims, activists, whistleblowers, scientists, and those who worked on developmental projects for the program have joined forces all over the world. The list includes retired federal law enforcement to retired military personnel and honorable patriotic rebels of the psychiatric and psychologist field.
The fact is, we go about our lives each day oblivious to a high-tech capability for subtle influence. We have entered a highly advanced technological state where population control has taken on a covert psychophysical, scientific dimension in the militarized police state. Awareness of the tools in place for the Orwellian-type technocratic dictatorship, unfolding on a worldwide scale, is pivotal for understanding the capability for mass, social, and population control. For as long as man has pursued power over the masses, social and population control efforts have been orchestrated to study human behavior. In 1976, President Gerald Ford's executive order prohibited non-consensual experiments. Subsequent executive orders by Presidents Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan expanded the directive to apply to all human experimentation. However, in June 2015, The Guardian newspaper published a leaked CIA document that permits the director of the CIA to approve, modify, or disapprove all proposals pertaining to human subject research made by the U.S. government.
So you know for a fact that these weapons that you worked on, they're being used domestically today?
Absolutely. It seems to be more weapons research than medical research. I personally corresponded with upwards of 1,500 victims, all complaining of identical complaints from every state in the nation.
They're being accused of being crazy. They're being accused of being paranoid and schizophrenic to completely cover up what is in fact a social engineering program and a covert research and development program for some of the most sophisticated and advanced technology that the world has ever seen.
Well, that's just crazy, right? No. So, how many people are controlled? I would gather to say too many. Too many. A whole lot. Especially those who don't know who they are at all. Because they've never done that work on themselves. They're easily manipulated. They are so easily controlled. That's why it is so fundamentally important in everything that we are dealing with that the individuals do that work. Oh, I know. But most have not. When you are living in a very sick society and you think you're just swell, the well-adjusted to a deeply disturbed society, just means you're disturbed, and a loss of humanity comes along with that. Empathy, apathy, self-centeredness, all of it. That's the work that's the root of our problems. I absolutely 100% agree with Sean. It is Sean, right? And I respect everyone who is posting on get yourself right. Because if you aren't right, then you're contributing to the problems. Unfortunately, it takes a long time. It's lifelong work. Things that, we should have been doing in our early adulthood, but it's never too late.
This fleece appears to be heavier than the Canadian military. It is second to none. Best fleece that I had, the bearskin tactical hoodie.
Thousands of men around the world love wearing the bearskin hoodie instead of their regular hoodies.
This is a
With over
commercial that I
10,000
can't get
five-star
off.
reviews on Trustpilot. Because sure, your average hoodie provides decent insulation to keep you warm.
Oh, come on.
But as
This is
soon as you head
3
outside, it
minutes
gets
and
windy,
49
the rain makes you
seconds.
soggy, and you get cold all over again. That's why we upgraded the Bearskin Hoodie 4.0
No,
with
come
340
on.
GSM
You can't
of
do this to
double-sided
me.
bearskin micro fleece.
Everybody else. Okay, good. Refresh.
Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's John Nolan here, and it is Tuesday.
John. Okay, sorry, John. Oh, boy. Sorry.
November 12th, 2024. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free all over the world. That's the mantra. Thank you for joining us on X, Rumble, and YouTube, and from all places of the world. Živio, Slovenia, kako ste u Srbiji, Hrvatskoj, Bosni, Juga, benvenuti. It's so wonderful to see you all over the place. Beautiful. Friends, this today, and I don't say this in an exaggerated way. I mean this. This is one of the most important topics and one of the most important shows that we have done and that we will do. I encourage you all to stick around till the very end, and then please share this. I have said many, many times, and I will continue to say it, that you cannot solve a problem efficiently if you have not identified it correctly first. I am getting a lot of pushback on my, let's just say, very muted enthusiasm about the political landscape right now. I know a lot of people are very hyped and very excited, and I don't want to poop on anyone's parade. But there is one subject that is not being talked about, that has not been talked about, and that is at the center of all of our problems. And until I see this on a large scale in the alternative media and in the alternative and in the mainstream space, I know we won't quite have moved the needle in the direction that we need to. That's what we're going to talk about today. Without further ado, let me jump right into it. And this is speaking to all the adults in the room. Okay, let's do this, friends. So what is the problem? Let's identify the problem correctly today. Are you with me? According to polls, the most pressing problems for people all over the world today are inflation and cost of living, unemployment, conflicts and wars, cybersecurity threats, infectious diseases, healthcare access, misinformation, corruption. This is if you go to the big organizations, government and NGOs, that's what they tell us. Of course, what's included, but people don't really say it out loud because they don't actually believe it, is the climate thing, right? That at least the causation is completely wrong. But at any rate, this is what people identify as their biggest problem in life. Political parties and politicians, including independent candidates, are running on addressing and solving these issues. They often offer explanations for the most pressing problems. They name the culprits, usually politicians of opposing parties, corporate interests, or foreign adversaries, and promise to implement policies that will bring change, justice, and betterment. How often have we heard that? Every 4 years, every 2 years, every 6 years, depending on where you live, somebody comes up, they're the rebel or they are the change, they're the difference, right? What they don't know, and here's the truth, even those politicians themselves don't know, is that they are talking about the symptoms of the problem and not the root of it. What's the difference? If you go to your doctor or your health practitioner, your healer, and you tell them, well, doc, or my friend, I have a rash. The mainstream person will mainly go and try to find a salve or try to find something, put it on there and say this will fix it. The real healers will go, what is the root of the problem? Why did the rash occur? Why did it come up? What does it signify? That's what's not happening yet. And today, that's exactly where we're going to go, to the root. The greatest frustration, as I said before, comes from trying to solve a problem you have not identified correctly. It's fairly easy to explain the state of the world, including all the corruption, the wars, the poverty, and the suffering, by examining the cabal that has been running the world's affairs for a very long time. It explains in detail what they're doing, what their goals are, and how they're implementing them step by step. What it doesn't explain, until you look deep enough, is why humanity is participating. Ignorance, indoctrination, programming, etc., explain the how it's done, but it does not explain the why. And let me tell you the buried lead here. They literally planted the enemy, the problem, inside of us, and we are not aware of it. Here are the real problems people the world over are facing today: trust difficulties, fear of abandonment or rejection, shame and low self-esteem, identity confusion, difficulty managing emotions, chronic anxiety or depression, learning and concentration issues, problem-solving difficulties, chronic stress responses, substance abuse and addictions, hypervigilance, impulse control issues. So these are the real problems that most of society either faces one of them, two of them, five of them, 10 of them, or all of them. I would say that the majority of people faces a lot of these issues. What causes these issues? And here we're finally getting to the real root of the problem, my friends. I'm telling you what causes these issues. All of this is a result of systemic childhood trauma and or unresolved multi-generational trauma. Now, before you step away and say this is too simple, this can't be the truth, I will break this down so everyone who's watching and listening can clearly comprehend that what we are facing today is a result of an epidemic of unbelievable proportions, and that is systemic traumatization of societies, multi-generational. What that means and what we can do about it, that's what we're going to discover, and that is the subject of our time, okay? We will not solve any of our societal, health, political, economic, or geopolitical issues unless we're able and willing to discuss the nature of trauma and the nature of deep trauma healing. Until this becomes a widely discussed topic, we will continue to individually and collectively experience the same things over and over again: wars, violence, extremism, poverty, sickness, depression, near extinction events. We're going through a mass extinction, and the reason, collectively, fundamentally speaking, the root issue is trauma. When populations are widely traumatized, governments benefit in several ways, and not just governments, anyone who wants to control people, that enhance control and reduce resistance. Trauma tends to increase fear and passivity, causing people to prioritize safety over freedom and become more tolerant of restrictive policies. Traumatized individuals often seek outward stability and structure, which can lead to a dependency on authority figures and make them more susceptible to influence. Emotional reactivity heightened by trauma allows governments to use fear-based messaging effectively, fostering compliance and minimizing critical thinking. If you, and this is what these entities have been doing, here's our challenge. We are just catching up a little bit to the learning curve that these people behind the scenes, the secret society, if you want to call them, the cabals, or even other species, what they have been doing for eons is study us, study our responses, study our psyche, study our spirituality, study our reactions. And what they have realized early on in the game is, if you get the child, why are they saying this? Why have all autocrats said, give me the child and I will form the man? Why? Between the ages of 0 and 7, our formative years, if they can get us during that age, one, traumatize us, and B, indoctrinate us, you have the perfect formed adult. You will have some rebels, you will have some people who break out, but the majority will stick to the program that they picked up between 0 and 7. Now, those programs are not nearly as effective if they are not first initiated by trauma. And so we now have a systemic traumatizing society, and it's self-perpetuating. They do it. They have the wars and they have the crises to keep the trauma going, but they don't need to as much anymore, because we are now traumatizing each other because of our behavioral multi-generational patterns that we keep passing on to our next generations. Division within society is another byproduct of trauma, as people can become suspicious of each other, making it easier to control or fragment opposition. Trauma also impairs social bonds and weakens community structures, family structures, which prevents unified action and amplifies feelings of helplessness, making authoritarian policies seem more acceptable. Over time, trauma can lead to a cycle of generational compliance and submissiveness, as these responses are passed down, creating a long-term effect where people come to accept adversity as normal. And if you remember the long ages of monarchies all over the world, including all nations of Europe, they now still have them in some European nations, but they're less effective as they used to be. But how did the young children coming up have this fear and respect and reverence for someone, a king or a queen, who only got that title because they were born? That's all that they accomplished. But that thought didn't even come into people's minds. They were traumatized over and over and over again into adopting these belief systems and programs, and hence they were controllable and still are, because monarchies didn't go away, they were just rebranded. The king is now the president or the prime minister. Government
if anybody has any interest, it's so remarkable that, yeah, what is absolutely the root of an awful lot of our problems is us. And yeah, not a lot of people like to hear that. So we will just continue living problem after problem after problem. Those problems taking people out, killing them, destroying them. And this is what we get to live. Yeah. And, an awful lot of people throughout the years have, claimed that that other people are causing it. And if they get destroyed, they'll have no care for them whatsoever. Not seeing how they too are a part of all of this. We've helped to manifest this nightmare that we're living. So how do you get out of the nightmare? You got to study it. You got to examine it. You got to know what it's about and then heal. That's true for every individual. I know. A lot of people don't even pay attention. Oh well. So live honestly and speak honestly. Help those in your community. Remember, when you're shopping, pick up extra food for the food banks, pick up extra pet food for your animal shelters. Do what you can, for those who are actually out there, trying to help those in need, whether they're four-leggeds or two-leggeds. There are people out there in your community. Help them. They've got it started already. And that means that you won't have much, to do in terms of figuring out how do I start, where do I start. Yeah. Stay safe, everybody. And thank you for showing up. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.